I'm sorry, do you want hair like this? Do you want some like really gorgeous, like long hair that's super healthy? Welcome back, YouTube. We are going to talk about something fascinating today that I think you're gonna be very interested in. These are 10 tips, count them. No, I'm just kidding, you don't have to. There's 10 tips for gorgeous hair growth. Let's go. One of the most important tips for hair growth, and this is like so important, I cannot even tell you how important it is. We've talked a lot before on here about the nature of hair growth, about how this is like a newborn baby, then from here to here it's like a toddler, then from here to here it's like a kid, then from here to here it's like teenager, then it's an adult, then down here, honey, this is geriatric. Like this has been on my hair for a long time. So what you do not wanna do when you're heat styling your hair is cook your ends. This has been through way more washes, way more heat styles. It's just seen way more action down here than up here. And because of that, your ends don't need to be heated up for so long to hold a shape because they're a little bit more fragile. So watch this. So when you go to flat iron your hair or curl your hair, you're always gonna start more on the top and then work your way down. This is like still my ends. I'm not curling those straight away. And in fact, they're really not gonna be on heat very much at all until the literal very end. So now they're in and then they're out. And look how nice that curl is. What you don't ever wanna do is roll it up to the ends and then curl from there. That's never what you wanna do because your ends need way less heat. The top actually needs a lot more heat because it's healthier, so it's not gonna hold the curl as well. So that's super important for hair growth. Because the best way to like crack your hair off and not let it grow is by ironing your ends over and over and over again. It's the worst thing. Huge tip for keeping your hair long or growing your hair out is hair color. Especially lightening your hair color. If you're someone who bleaches your hair, you love highlights, you just can't say no to that little highlight moment. A lot of times for a lot of people, bleach is not conducive to having longer, stronger hair. You can totally get away with like highlights if your hair is a little on the shorter side because you're gonna be getting it cut more often. But if you have like hair as long as mine or longer, consider switching your hair a little closer to your natural color or just do like the most minimal, low maintenance of highlights. You just get into more risk of more breakage once you get into highlights. So if you can embrace your natural color or do like more of a semi-permanent color, it's gonna help your hair be healthier. Another tip for growing your hair out is haircuts, but there's like a big caveat on that, right? So a lot of times hairdressers will be like, you gotta come in every 6 weeks if you want your hair to grow. That can and cannot be true. If you don't heat style your hair too much, if you take really good care of it between appointments, you can go longer than 6 weeks. However, if you do push it way past 6 weeks, or if you go like once or twice a year, or like once every 5 to 6 months, it's gonna be like significantly more than a trim. Like you're gonna have like considerable amount of breakage and damage on the ends to where if that stylist doesn't take the ends off, the shape won't really like work as well and you're still gonna be fighting your haircut and you're gonna be like, wait, I just got a haircut, why is it laying so weird? It's probably because they left a lot of really damaged hair that doesn't have integrity in it still because they didn't want to freak you out about how short it is. So if your haircut isn't working still, it could be because they didn't take enough off because it got too far gone. So if that ever happens, talk to your stylist ahead of time and say like, look, I'll come in every 4 to 6 weeks for the next 3 months and let's just take like a little bit off the bottom at a time so that it's not such a big shock. But you wanna plan for that with your stylist before they just like go in there and like whack 5 inches off the bottom. Our next tip for hair growth is all about being aware of how we wear our hair. I know that sounds easy, like I am aware of how I wear my hair. If you're someone who does a lot of protective styles, and actually like protective styles can be like a deceiving word, because the word protective makes you feel like I'm protecting my hair. But if your protective style is braiding your entire head into really, really tight cornrows, and then sewing a lot, like pounds and pounds of hair to the braids and then keeping it there for like 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks, it's not protecting. It's way too much tension and tightness on the scalp. Even if you braid your hair and then put the hairnet and you're sewing the hair to the hairnet, not your hair, protective styles are really not meant to be worn like ever for longer than like 4 to 6 weeks, if you feel a lot of pulling and like ouchy in your hair, if you're getting a lot of traveling hairs and like pulling, then you do have traveling hairs and it is pulling and you want to get it taken out. It's especially true of like any sort of weaves, partial or full enclosure, or even just like extensions when you're doing anything for length. Like if your natural length stops here, but you have extensions down to here, do not wear them for too long and don't make it like an all the time habit, because it really can lead to like long-term, just like permanent hair loss from too much tension. It's also true if you're doing like really, really slick, tight buns, or like that off-duty like model look, just like super slick tension. It's not good. It can also cause like tension-related alopecia around your hairlines. Just be careful there. Make sure you're like not doing like repetitive, too much stress, too much tension on those hair follicles day in and day out. Like a slick back bun once a week. Here is another really important thing for hair growth, okay? So there's 2 types of bonds in your hair. You have the hydrogen bonds and then you have the sulfur bonds. Your sulfur bonds are what get changed and compromised and or damaged from lightening the hair, coloring the hair, or doing like relaxers or perms. Your hydrogen bonds are what you're talking about when we're wetting and blow drying the hair, or like wetting and heat styling the hair. There's actually something called hygral fatigue, which is when it's like overly conditioned hair. And so basically when your hair gets washed or wetted, it swells, and then when it's dry, it shrinks. And doing that too many times can cause your hair to become a little bit fragile. So unless you're like laying your hair down on a dirty gym floor, or if you go to like a yoga studio and you're like laying your head on like other people's sweaty feet, or like you got a baby and that baby's like barfing or shitting in your hair or something, or you like work at a hospital, like unless your hair is like physically dirty, you don't need to wash it every day. Like 2 to 3 times a week is perfect. If your hair is like super short and you load it up with gel, you load it up with product, like if you're just like really like styling your hair so much and it's really short, then you can wash it every day because you're using a lot of product and you probably need to get that product out to reset it. And you're also gonna cut it so often that it's like not gonna damage it so bad. But when your hair is like a bob, lob, long layers and longer, washing every day really is a great way to damage your hair and to break off your ends. It just causes the hair to lose its integrity through too much like swelling and shrinking. Now, if you're someone who you're just like, my hair is way too oily, I have to wash it every day, I would tell you that part of why your hair is so oily is from washing it every day. Like that's why your oil glands in your scalp are now making so much excess oil. But if you must wash your hair every day, if you're married to it, please make sure you're using a sulfate-free, gentle, silicone-free shampoo like JVN Hair. Our Undamage, our Nurture, and our Embody would not hurt your hair. It will keep it safe, and it's going to like not impart that high growth fatigue. The other thing too with high growth fatigue is like, it doesn't really matter what shampoo and conditioner you're using. One way to prevent it is from like not going to bed with your wet hair. Like don't have your hair be soaking wet and then braid it. Like it also can happen from like your hair just staying wet for way too long. It's okay if that happens like sometimes, but you don't want to do that like every single day. Other huge issue for growing your hair out long is sleeping with your hair up. Now, a lot of our textured girlfriends, our friends, our families who have textured hair, coily, kinky hair, are already sleeping with a gorgeous silk bonnet. So silk bonnets, yes queen, protect the texture, protect the blow dry, we live. Silk just doesn't conduct as much heat as cotton does, or those like really tight elastics. So it's really helpful for you to just take your hair, put it on top of your head in a loose top knot, silk scrunchie, no tension, and that's gonna help your hair grow out. It's gonna help your ends not get so fuzzy and breakage and like fragile-y. So it really helps. It makes a huge difference. And once you get used to it, you'll never wanna sleep with your hair down again. Another gorgeous tip for hair growth, especially for our summer girlies, our summer boys, our Australian, like Southern Hemisphere people that are like fully going into summer or like already in summer, because like what's time? If you're a swimmer, if you're someone who spends a lot of time in the pool, make sure to wet your hair in the shower before you get in the pool. Your hair is a lot like a sponge. So if you fully submerge your hair in like nicer water that's not chlorinated, and then even take it one step further and put some conditioner on your ends, and then you get in the pool, your hair is not gonna be able to absorb nearly the same amount of those chemicals, the chlorine, and what other stuff is in that pool water. Similarly, when you leave the pool, make sure you have some complete conditioning mist by JVN Hair Honey that actually has cassia bark polymer extract in it, which is a natural UV protectant. So it's not SPF, but it will protect your hair from the damage of the UV rays as far as like color fadage, or like your hair just kind of lightening and becoming that like orangey, like brassy vibe. So complete conditioning mist, super BFF if you're someone who swims a lot. Next tip, super important, is listening to what it is your hair needs, right? So when we take showers, the water typically is on the warmer side. Most of us take hot showers, and heat expands the cuticle of our hair. What's our cuticle? Well, if you were to take a microscope and look at my hair under that, you would see like a lot of layers of what almost looks like fish scales, like all kind of packed down on top of each other. And that's what the cuticle is. When you wash your hair in hot water, it's gonna lift the cuticle, so it's gonna become more open. Cold closes the cuticle. You wanna make sure that you're giving your hair what it is that it needs. If your hair is really dry, make sure you're using a really moisturizing conditioner in the shower so it can get all that good moisture and hydration while the cuticle's open. If your hair is really fragile and prone to breakage, make sure you're using a strengthening shampoo like our Undamage and conditioner. So that's gonna set you up for more strength, and that's gonna set you up for better hair growth. And then you can do a cold rinse. We do a cold rinse because that's gonna seal the cuticle down all around all those great ingredients that are gonna fortify your hair. Next tip, always practicing safe heat styling. The best way to break off your hair and to like forego all of your new hair gains is by not using heat protectant. If you diffuse your hair, if you round brush your hair, flat iron it, curling iron it, any heat at all, you have to use heat protection. It's going to help your hair stand up to that heat and not bear the brunt of all of that breakage and fragility. It is so helpful. Another trick for growing your hair out, even better, is just put all of the heat stylers down. Now, with someone like JVN Hair, you can engage in safe heat styling and have the best of both worlds, like get all down with your heat style self and still have your natural, healthy hair. But if your hair has been chemically compromised from like a bleach and tone, too much color treatments, whatever, try to keep your heat styling down to like once a week, maybe twice a week, but it's not your go-to thing every time. So you can let your natural texture shine, and it will just help your life a lot, I swear to God. Those were our 10 gorgeous tips for growing your hair out long, strong, and healthy. We hope you loved it. Thank you so much for coming by YouTube. We love you, we love you, we love you. We will see you next time. And honey, if you're loving these YouTubes, comment below what you want to see more of. You want to see some more tutorials? What are you curious about? You got questions? We got answers. Let us know. Thank you for supporting. We love you so much, and we'll see you next time, YouTube. Bye, sluts.